Hey everyone, Meteorologist David Paul here. It is Monday, March 31st, 2025, as we track some showers and thunderstorms moving into the Wiregrass. I'm in kind of a weird position here. My flight down to the National Tropical Weather Conference has been delayed, so instead of being at the airport now, I am just tracking these storms, waiting for them to pass. Hopefully my flight gets out of here later today. Let me show you what your weather, and we certainly have a pretty good line of showers and storms moving on through. There's a big view of the radar, pretty active now, eastern parts of Tennessee southward into the western panhandle, and we'll see that continue moving off to the east as we go through the afternoon hours. A new severe thunderstorm watch has been issued for the Wiregrass as we have that chance for some gusty winds. That's really the primary severe weather threat as we go through the afternoon hours. A chance for some strong winds and maybe some pockets of rotation. We've seen that here and there, areas west of us, Mississippi into western parts of Alabama so far during the morning hours here on Monday. Let me switch over to the radar and kind of take you through this and track what is happening across southeast Alabama, the Panhandle, and beyond. We have a line of showers and storms moving on through Crenshaw County, moving into Pike County as we look at 11:10 here Monday morning. Andalusia, we've seen that line already come on through. There are no severe weather warnings in effect for the Wiregrass, so more or less just a watch, a severe thunderstorm watch at this point, with the chance for some gusty winds as these showers and storms move to the east. We'll also be watching for pockets of rotation, and when we see areas like this between Dozier and Brantley, that indicates that there could be some rotation developing. What we can do is actually monitor the rotation. So there's a look at the velocity scan there using the Fort Novacell radar, so pretty good view. And between Brantley and Dozier right now, we have that stronger cell, but no indication of any rotation at this point. Southward, looking at some decent rainfall coming on through Covington County and then into the Florida Panhandle. We'll switch over and use the Eglin radar because this line pretty extensive all the way down there into the Gulf, and it is moving to the east, and that eastward track will continue as we go through time. There are some new showers popping up there and some stronger cells, one just south of the radar site there in the Panhandle, south of the Eglin radar site approaching Ebro. Some heavy rainfall. You can see the areas in red showing up there, so some really heavy rainfall south of Bruce there, and that will move into the area around Ebro, maybe just northward on 79 in the next about 12 to 15 minutes or so. Some gusty winds for sure with that cell, but again, no severe weather warnings as of now. We'll go northward here. A couple cells popping up along I-10. That's in Walton County and the southern part there of Holmes County. A decent line of some rain there between Bonifay and Shipley, moving into Jackson County, Jacob City, Campbellton, some of these areas that will get the rainfall to move in here before too long. There's a look at a short animation. The general motion here on these is off to the northeast overall. Okay, northward, we'll go back over to that line there between Troy and Goshen, southward to Glenwood and Brantley. Looking decent for rainfall, but again, no signs of any significant rotation. I'm going to watch this area between Brantley and Dozier, just south of Brantley, because there's just maybe a little bit of a hint there that we could see some rotation develop as we go through time. I'm going to switch over and kind of show you, let's see, 4 panels here, and we can look at the velocity, the base velocity top right up here, the storm relative velocity, and then we have the correlation coefficient, which would show us debris if we were to have a tornado. Not a great tornado setup for today. There's just not a ton of wind shear in the atmosphere, not a ton of energy to produce big tornadoes, but we can see these brief spin-ups. We're at the end of March now, early April, and in our part of the country here, little spin-ups are pretty common as we go through the month of April. So we'll watch that little hooks. You see that little area north of Opp? We kind of look for places like this where there's just like a little bit of a hook showing up on the actual leading edge of the line, the main line of showers and storms. And sometimes this can produce really small and brief pockets of wind damage. Now, as we look at the velocity and the base velocity up here and the storm relative velocity. Not seeing any signs of any trouble, but again, that's an area that we kind of watch as we go through time. We'll step it back here just a little bit and then go forward and kind of see that little pocket there developing not too far away from Op. So we'll watch that. That will move into Coffee County, likely passing somewhere south of Elba up towards New Brockton in the next probably 15 to 30 minutes or so, and we'll be monitoring this setup as we go through time. The guys at the station will be streaming live as well if we get some warnings. I'm just kind of doing this as I wait for my my airplane flight out of Panama City. The flight was supposed to be at 12:38, but they canceled it early. I guess in anticipation of the storms coming in. I think that flight could get out. Oh, okay. I'm just kind of worried that the flight later might be delayed even more. We'll see what happens. So just kind of watching these showers and storms coming on through. Again, no severe weather warnings in effect now for the Wiregrass, but there's that potential for some gusty winds, for some pockets of rotation as well as we head through the afternoon hours. So hopefully this stream is going out okay. I'm kind of just doing this for the first time as I just kind of watch the radar here, and again, kill some time as I wait for my flight here, heading down to the National Tropical Weather Conference. My very first YouTube stream. Hopefully it's showing up. I think it is. Yeah, it looks like it is. 5 people are watching. So hey, y'all are part of the inaugural stream here for Facebook. Trying out some different software as well. Trying to get a good view of what's happening and in a way to kind of easily manipulate the radar so we can track what is happening in the Wiregrass. So again, kind of feeling things out here as we go through time. This line of showers and storms will move on through pretty quickly. It's not going to linger very long. There's some rain behind the actual line, but as far as the main line, which is this area here from Union Springs down through Troy into Covington County and then into the Panhandle, this line will pass your location in probably 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes or so. It's not going to last for too long, but when it does come in, again, it will be packing some gusty winds and some heavy rainfall and quite a few lightning strikes with this line also. Watching this little area just north of Op and watching this area now down to the south and eventually to the southeast of Brantley. To the right here is the velocity scan, and not seeing any signs of rotation, but we're not going to see a really strong rotation signature with an event like this. If we get any kind of a brief spin up, we'd be talking EF0 type spin ups, it would happen very quickly. So just kind of a heads up here, areas north of Op up towards Elba. Again, watching this area right in through here, that's just a little bit of a hook feature showing up. And going back to what I said earlier, this time of year with the leading edge of a line of storms like this, that's pretty much all we'll get on radar to indicate the chance for some gusty winds or a brief gustnado is just a little tiny hook there. So that will take aim on Elba. Nothing real concerning as we look at the velocity scan. I'm going to go back over to the storm relative velocity scan down here to the bottom right. So just to the east now of Dozier and off to the west of Elba, watching that little area right in through here. Again, nothing real strong. The winds aren't real strong either. If you look at the scale here, you're looking at decent winds, probably 20-30 miles per hour in some of the gusts, but nothing that is really substantial as of now. Heavy rainfall moving on through Brantley. You're about done with it in Brantley, but coming on through Troy right now, good chunk of Pike County, and moving into the western and northwestern part of Coffee County. This line here, that's the actual projected track of that cell every 15 minutes. So Elba in about 15 minutes, and then 30 minutes, and then 45 minutes in Ozark. That would put Ozark into it at about 12:05, roughly 12:10, somewhere in that window. And then off towards Abbeville as we get towards probably 12:30ish or so. This line is part of a big complex of showers and storms moving on through the south today. It's producing a lot of rainfall. There's been a lot of weather warnings in effect earlier today, but most of those have been off to the east of us and not really in our area. I'll go back over to that southeast radar view and show you the big view across the south. Again, eastern parts of Tennessee through now northwest Georgia into Alabama and then into the Gulf. A line of showers and storms. Not a ton in the way of warnings right now. In fact, no warnings showing up on this view That does actually show our, let's see, maybe it does not show the warnings, but I'm looking at a different screen here, and there are no warnings in effect. A severe thunderstorm watch in effect for us, but no severe thunderstorm warnings in effect at this point. Back to that day 1 severe weather graphic. Damaging straight line winds, and we can't rule out pockets of rotation. Some hail in some of the stronger cells, a possibility, but generally this is kind of a setup for gusty straight line winds. We're seeing kind of a curvy nature or a loopy nature to the radar here, Troy southward into Covington County. Some signs of some rotation that might try to organize. They're watching that area west of Elba, right in through here. Watching heavy rainfall primarily in Pike County. And then we go southward, some pretty good rain coming on through Covington County, southward into the Panhandle around Crestview, some decent rainfall and some showers popping up out ahead of the main line. Some of that rainfall locally heavy too. Chipley down there towards Red Bay, southward to the coast. Off to the west there, Panama City, some decent rainfall in this area. This is a correlation coefficient, bottom right. If we were to see a tornadic signature, we would look for debris using that radar product. Down here, bottom right, is storm relative velocity, kind of using that just to analyze what is happening. And then top right here is base velocity. Then, of course, the traditional radar view, which is showing the red being the heaviest rainfall and then kind of tapering to blue there for the lighter rainfall. So watch that rainfall come on through Coffee County now, still into Crenshaw County. Areas west there towards Opp in Covington County, some heavy rainfall at this point. That's kind of the worst of it now, moving into Opp. It won't last again very long, maybe 15-20 minutes for the heaviest rain for most areas. Likely a decent batch of gusty winds here approaching Elba, kind of the leading edge of that. I'm going to switch over and use the Fort Novacel site. I'm going to have to zoom back in here, but this is a little better view of what's happening up north here into southeast parts of Alabama. And as we zoom in here, Brundage, kind of the leading edge of that rain, and that wind coming in now to Brundage. There's your wind shift line, what I'm kind of outlining right in through here. It's not real impressive, and we have a pretty good view of the wind. So we're looking at roughly 20-25 mile per hour gusts in much of that. A little windier there off to the west of Elba. I'm just kind of watching that one little area still. I know it's not much, but it's right in through here, just to the west of Elba, and there's just a little hint there of a little bit of rotation. And in a situation like this, we can have just one scan show some brief rotation and then it goes away. But that little pocket of brief rotation could produce 60-70 mile per hour winds if it's a little gustnado. If you're watching from Elba, I should say, and you're looking westward, you probably see a little bit of lowering right in through here. So again, it's not much on radar, but there's just a little hint of perhaps a little gustnado in the making, maybe, or a little pocket of some stronger winds coming on through areas west of Elba. That is now into Coffee County. So we're going to watch that. We'll get a new scan coming in as we track this line of showers and storms. We got Zach and Ryan at the station covering it from the TV perspective. I'm just, again, kind of killing some time here before I get to the airport. My flight was delayed because of these storms. The second flight, I don't know. I'm hoping it's not delayed, but it might be. I think it's scheduled for, what was it, 3:42, so I'm not sure what's going to happen with that flight. But I got a little time here to track these showers and storms from the home studio here as we watch that line coming out through Coffee County, northwestern parts of Coffee County. This has been kind of looking like a lower end severe event overall for the Wiregrass. It's something that we've been watching for a long time, and it kind of is coming together well, kind of the way we expected, more or less, with the primary severe threat being gusty winds, but with the potential for some pockets of rotation within that main line. So here's that little pocket here just to the west of Elba. I'm new to this program, so I'm going to kind of, I don't know what else we can do here to telestrate. I'm sure there's an option to telestrate here. Let's see, show tracks, sure, panel center. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to learn this as we go through time, but right now it's kind of using my mouse and the cursor as we highlight this little area just west of Elba, and it's not too far away. I think I can measure. Let's see, measure from a place marker. Let's place a marker in Elba. Can I do that? Let's see. Place marker here, and then let's measure from marker. All right. All right, let's go to here. No, not working. All right, but we're a couple miles west of Elba as we track this line of showers and storms moving into Coffee County. Again, kind of a line echo wave pattern setting up here from Pike County into the northwestern part of Coffee County and then southward into Covington County. There's a little bit of a bowing segment here showing up just to the southwest of Elba, and that would kind of correspond to this little pocket of weak rotation I'm watching right here just west of Elba. We'll wait for a new scan to come in and analyze this real small area of weak rotation showing up here. If we zoom into the corner here, the bottom right corner, this image right here, this is that little area of rotation. So we have winds here going from basically east to west, and then down here west to east. So there's that little rotation right here. It will pass on the northwest side of Elba. So there's a little hint of it here, and there's just, if you can make it out, just a little bit of a sign of a little bit of a hook there. It's, again, not real impressive, but I've seen this so many times, especially in the month of April, and we're almost there, where we get a fast-moving line of storms to come on through, and we just get these little pockets of rotation that put down. It would technically be an EF0 tornado, but it kind of functions like a gustnado, just a little spin on the leading edge of the rainfall. And that may be unfolding here now on the west and northwest side of Elba. There are no severe weather warnings in effect anywhere for the Wiregrass. We have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect as of 11:26 here, but again, no severe weather warnings in effect for the Wiregrass. If you're just tuning in on this YouTube stream, welcome. It's my first time doing this, and we're just kind of monitoring the showers and storms as I have a flight delay for my flight out to the National Tropical Weather Conference. It looks like there are two of us watching, two of you, so three of us watching. So, hey, appreciate you all being here for sure as we just watch the showers and storms. Again, no big concerns right now on a large scale, but some small concerns as we look at that area off to the west of Elba. Heavy rainfall is moving through the eastern part of Covington County, southward into Babby as well, seeing some pretty good rain move on through, and some pockets of red farther southward into Covington County. And we'll see that move into Geneva County, areas north and northwest of Sampson in the next half hour. And we'll keep monitoring for some stronger winds within this line. There's just, again, a little bit of a loopy pattern up here, kind of a line echo wave pattern, moving on through Pike County, Coffee County, into Covington County. So when we see the radar start taking a shape like this, that's kind of a heads up that, hey, something is happening here. We have a little more wind energy being brought down to the surface. And we're going to keep watching that area just west of Elba. So there it is moving into Elba now. This is the newest scan coming in, and that little bowing segment is moving into Elba. So some heavy rainfall. Let's see, retrying the scan here. We get a new scan from the base velocity top right. Looks like both of those are, I think, pretty much in sync. So we're not seeing any strong winds, probably 30, 40 mile per hour gusts with that leading edge coming in. And there's still just a little bit of a hint of some weak rotation just west of Elba, really on the west side or moving through Elba at this point. So there could be a little pocket there of the winds gusting over 50 miles per hour. Would not be surprised, especially if we have a little gustnado. And these are small. These are, if you live on a half-acre lot, I mean, it would cover just a small portion of your half-acre lot. So that gustnado that forms in a situation like this is not very big. It's just really, really small, sometimes about the width of a driveway, and that's it. So if you happen to be in that path, you can have some localized damage. And that's why if you look at the aftermath of an event like that, you can see some damage in a very small area, and damage usually is just tree branches that are broke off in a very narrow path. and that's exactly where that gustnado came on through. There was an instance at my house back in, I don't know, was it 2020 or so? It was a Sunday morning. A line of storms came in. There was a little gustnado that just came right on through my area, and you could see when I got home from church that morning, just a little debris, you know, leaves and twigs and whatnot. It wasn't very strong, probably winds 50, 60 miles per hour, just a little gust, but just a very small, narrow path that happens in a situation with these gustnados. So, all right, back to the radar view here, and watching that area around Elba and that little hint of some rotation with that cell just now on the west and northwest side of Elba. No severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Now, Tallahassee issues warnings for Coffee County and Dale County. Northward in Pike County, it's Birmingham, and then you get to Covington County and it's Mobile. So Mobile is not going to issue anything for Covington County, and Tallahassee's held off, which is good because these are not technically severe yet. That said, in a situation like this, a little spin up can occur with very little warning. And it looks like that one little pocket now is just on the north side of Elba. So probably some gusty winds coming on through Elba right now. Top right, I'm looking at the base velocity. Bottom right, looking at that storm relative velocity. Top left, looking at the traditional radar. Of course, we've got the correlation coefficient, the debris tracker down there, bottom left. So pretty good rainfall coming on through the western part now of Coffee County, extending into Pike County, Brundage, into that rain. Some winds there, probably 20, 25 miles per hour in some of the gusts. Not seeing anything real potent overall. I think the strongest wind, looking at this radar, is in the area around Elba. A weak pocket of rotation just now on the north side of Elba. A little bit of a bowing segment right in through here. There could be a little secondary hook trying to form just south there of Elba. And I say hook, you think, oh, big tornado. Again, this is not a situation or a setup to produce big tornadoes. It's a setup that can produce little brief gustnados, and those winds 50, 60 miles per hour. So what I look for as a meteorologist here is just little tiny, I mean, they're not really even hooks. They're just kind of, you see this S, it's like a little bit of an S shape. I mean, it's not real distinct right now, but it becomes a little more distinct if you have a gustnado form, but it takes the shape of an S. And that's basically what you're looking at here is winds blowing in and then winds on the backside blowing out. That rear flank downdraft, updraft right there, the inflow into the cell, and then that gives birth to sometimes just a little tiny spin that will track south of Elba, probably towards New Brockton if that were to hold together. You see that? I know it's not much, but it's just a little hint of it right here. And if we look at the storm relative, there's just a little hint of it right here. Just a little tiny, where you've got basically east to west and then west to east. So that is due south of Elba. It's not strong enough to indicate that this is actually a gustnado, but it does indicate that there's at least a little bit of rotation in the atmosphere south of Elba, and that little pocket right on through the north side of Elba, somewhere like right up in here, more or less. So watching two areas, no severe weather warnings in effect at this point. So we're just kind of monitoring. I'm just kind of tracking the showers and storms. This animation might be, let's see, let it load. Maybe it'll be a little bit smoother here, giving the big view of this line of showers and storms. Behaving, I guess you could say, so far. And you know, maybe we get through this event and we don't see any real strong winds. Maybe we don't see any confirmed damage reports. It's a possibility. There's not, again, a ton of energy in the atmosphere, but there's enough energy around today to produce some of the gusty winds and, of course, the heavy rainfall, the lightning, and small pockets of rotation. The hail threat looks pretty small overall. We're not really seeing any robust individual cells yet out ahead of the main line. Those are the ones that could take on more of a supercell type structure and produce maybe some hail within the line. Hail chances look to be pretty small given the setup today, but within that line, heavy rainfall, gusty winds, and again, on the leading edge of that line, the chance for some brief spin-ups, some brief gustnados moving on through parts of the Wiregrass. No severe weather warnings in effect. We do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect, as we monitor this line of showers and storms moving on through the Wiregrass. Again, I'm just kind of killing time here, waiting for my airplane flight, and hopefully it gets out of here sometime later today. But this rain kind of interrupting a lot of flights, not just mine, but really from Tennessee through Atlanta. I'm sure Atlanta, the airport's going to have a lot of issues. I know Huntsville and Birmingham and Montgomery have had some issues. Dothan southward to the coast there, Panama City, looking at some issues. I mean, none of these small planes. A lot of the smaller airports, they fly these smaller jets, and it's just you're going up and down. You're not going up that high, 25,000 feet maybe, and you're cutting through this line of storms in those small jets, and I know the pilots kind of want to avoid that. It's not like you're flying at 35, 40,000 feet way above from Miami to Denver, and you can avoid the tall towers. These smaller jets, regional airports, they have a harder time getting in and out when you have a line of storms moving on through. So certainly causing some issues across the southeast today. I'm watching here, just kind of analyzing. We'll go back to that two-panel view. Left side is your reflectivity, right side is your base velocity, and we're monitoring that line of rain coming on through. Still seeing just a little bit of a hint. I can see it with my eye. A little bit of a hint there of some weak rotation now off to the southeast of Elba. That corresponds with this little tiny hook there that will pass northwest of Enterprise. But again, that's maybe just enough to produce some localized winds over 40, 50 miles per hour in a very, very small area. We're not seeing a real strong signature on the base velocity, but there's just enough of a signature there to indicate that, yeah, we've got a little bit of a weak rotation showing up, and it's in association with this area off to the southeast of Elba that will pass to the west and northwest of New Brockton. So we'll monitor that. I'm not seeing anything overall that's real concerning with this line of showers and storms. We're at 11:35 now as we track this moving on through the Wiregrass at a pretty good clip here. It will move in and move out of your area in the span of about 15 to 20 minutes. It's not going to last very long. For example, Opp got into it, got out of it pretty quickly. Andalusia, some light rainfall, but you're done. Kinston, going through it right now. Elba, you're in the middle of the heavy rainfall and some gusty winds. Brundage, seeing the rainfall kind of shift to the east of you. That is now moving into that line, the western part of Barber County. Nothing really concerning up there. As we go farther northward, some decent wind coming on through Hurtsboro there and moving up towards areas south of Phoenix City, but no severe weather warnings in effect up there either. Clayton to Louisville, a little bit of a bowing segment showing up there, approaching Louisville, so you're going to have a burst of some winds in excess of 20 or 30 miles per hour. Clio, it's just northwest of you at this point. There's the leading edge of that wind. As we look at, let's go to the current view, the most current view right there, just west of Louisville, just west of Clio. Now kind of moving in the wind shift line into the northwestern part of Dale County, west of Ayrton. And then southward towards Elba, heavy rainfall, intense red showing up there. So some really heavy rain coming on through Coffee County there, west of New Brockton, right on through the city of Elba. And then southward into areas west of Sampson, some decent rain. Again, no signs of any significant worries here. Looking at Hokota, maybe some heavier rainfall showing up there. I'm not seeing any significant rotation on radar. Kinston in the middle of some heavy rainfall at this point. That is steadily moving eastward, and again, no severe weather warnings anywhere in effect. Southward, some decent rain in the Panhandle. These are cells kind of popping up out ahead of the main line. Ebro had a pretty good cell move on through Chipley. You have some heavy rainfall moving into Jackson County. A good chunk there of Washington County actually seeing some decent rainfall at this point. Showers and some lightning strikes mixed in. But the main line is west and northwest of there, moving on through Coffee County right now. No severe weather warnings in effect in Coffee County. Even though it's a pretty solid line of heavy rain, the winds are just not meeting the severe criteria. The severe criteria technically 58 miles per hour or greater, and we're seeing most winds here in the ballpark of about 20 to 40 miles per hour in gusts. But there's always that chance that we get one of these cells to go a little more robust and produce maybe some pockets of rotation. Not seeing that yet, but certainly a chance here over the next couple hours. We're at 11:38 now. Most of the Wiregrass should be out of the danger zone, if you will, in the next, say, 2.5 hours, even through Early County and Seminole County in Georgia. It's moving pretty quickly here. Just watching this for the last half hour, 45 minutes or so, it's moved from Andalusia all the way into the central part of Coffee County. So watching it, again, no big worry showing up here. There's maybe just a little bit of a bowing segment in the wind structure approaching Louisville, so the winds there maybe 30, 40 miles per hour. And there's still just a little tiny hint of a little rotation. I mean, just a small hint of some weak rotation showing up there between Elba and New Brockton. Not anything to warn on if you're warning for severe weather or for tornadoes, but there's just a little hint of something to watch as we look at what is currently happening there. Basically in this general area, west and maybe southwest of New Brockton in Coffee County. That we'll move on through Enterprise here. Some decent rainfall off to the west of Enterprise, between Enterprise and up southward into the northwestern part now of Geneva County. Some decent rain showing up on radar there as well, but no warnings in effect southward into Okaloosa County around Crestview, and then the northern part of Walton County, some heavy rainfall, but no severe thunderstorm warnings in effect with this cell or the entire line. It's a decent line of showers and storms, and it is producing some gusty winds, again 20 to 40 miles per hour in general, but no signs of any strong rotation. Little tiny weak pockets of rotation showing up on the leading edge, but no organized rotation. And again, this is a setup where the primary severe threat will be damaging straight line winds, maybe in excess of, worst case 60 miles per hour, but generally now 20 to 40 miles per hour, and the chance for some pockets of rotation to show up on the leading edge. Again, the leading edge of the wind. Sometimes if you have just basically an area of enhanced inflow or updraft into that line, combined with the downdraft from the cell, you get just a little bit of a spin. And that little tiny spin, again, is very, very small, but can create a little small path of mainly tree damage through the landscape. And these little gustnados usually don't last very long. Maybe a couple minutes, maybe a couple miles, and that's about it. But if you get hit by one of those, again, your winds could be 50, 60 miles per hour plus, but it's in a very, very small area. And it's mostly just tree damage. Any kind of a well-built home will be able to sustain those types of winds. And even a mobile home can, if it's anchored properly especially, can handle 50, 60 mile per hour winds without much issue. But if you have a weakly built shed, for example, something that's loose outside, a trampolines love to fly in 50 to 60 mile per hour winds, but anything that's well built or anchored will be okay with winds like that. As I look at this, I see a couple things, kind of a surge there, some stronger winds coming on through Barber County, and then just that one little area between Elba and Enterprise where there's some gustier winds. And if there's one area that really bears watching, I think more than any other area, if we go to the most current view here, is this little pocket now approaching New Brockton. Again, it's not real impressive, but it's right here. There's just a little area of weak rotation just west now of New Brockton. This is the same area that was south of Elba. So it's kind of moving its way basically east or a little north of due east. As we look at the storm relative velocity, there's a little indication here. There's also a little indication right here, just northwest of Enterprise. That's with this little area right there, and it corresponds with this little notch. I know it's not much, but that little tiny notch is just an area of extra inflow, stronger inflow into that line. And this little tiny bowing segment is the downdraft on the back side. So it's really to get a spin in the atmosphere. It's a combination of the inflow and the outflow working in tandem, and then tapping into the available energy, which allows updrafts, and shear, which allows spin in the atmosphere. And we've got just enough for these little brief spins to develop. So one there west and northwest of Enterprise, one here just west of the city of New Brockton. No significant rotation, but there's just real weak rotation showing up on the radar. And we have a pretty good view of it because it's approaching the radar site, which is in Echo, the Fort Novosel radar site, which is right here, KEOX. and that's our radar view right now. Looking to the west, it's moving towards the radar site, so a really good look at the storms as they move on through. I'm monitoring really this image here on the top right pretty closely, just to see if that rotation, which is weak, gets any stronger, because it happens so fast. If there's any tightening of that rotation, it could lead to confirmation of a brief spin up. It's pretty broad rotation now, right around New Brockton, and then just west and northwest of Enterprise, right in through this area. There's a little bit of a cell merger happening. If I go back just a couple frames here, and you can kind of see these individual cells right here out ahead of that line moving northward, and sometimes these cells get kind of sucked into the main line. I'll go back just a couple scans. So you see that by New Brockton, where you had these cells here kind of independent of the main line. And if I go forward a couple scans, so now they're kind of getting absorbed into that line. And that can sometimes enhance the gust-NATO potential. So that would occur just north and northeast of New Brockton in that situation. And then this other area here west of Enterprise, again, this little shower kind of corresponds with that little tiny area of inflow, enhanced inflow, and then the outflow on the backside there. So nothing substantial, just a little meteorology as we track this line of showers and thunderstorms. Zach will be on the air at noon on News 4 watching this line and covering it as well, and Ryan's there as well. But again, there's really nothing significant happening as far as any severe weather right now. A severe thunderstorm watch in effect. That watch will go basically until the line passes, and then your severe threat is done. So this is kind of just wait, boom, line comes on through, 15-20 minutes of some heavy rainfall and some gusty winds, and then the severe threat is gone, the watch will be dropped, and then we just kind of get some light rain on the backside. This is a typical setup where the northern part of the Wiregrass, talking Pike and Barber counties, will have it move on through way quicker or earlier in the day than areas south towards the coast. It just kind of sets up where it's kind of a northeast to southwest alignment on the radar. So areas north get the line to move on through pretty quickly. Areas south have to wait a little bit longer. And in between, we'll watch for the gusty winds and the pockets of rotation showing up in the atmosphere. Big view there. Let's go over to just the radar view, and there's a look at the radar. We've got the storm tracks on here, so that cell there by Sampson is ticked out every 15 minutes. There's one tick there, 15 minutes out, 30 minutes out, 45 minutes out, an hour out. So in that type of a setup, that would put Dothan into the storms at about, let's see, 11:46 now, so about 12:35 downtown, about 12:35 for that line to move on through the city of Dothan. A possibility here, let's kind of animate this over the past hour, and it is moving pretty good. So an hour ago, it was, I guess it was actually 54 minutes ago, it was in Andalusia, and now it's coming on through Enterprise. So that line is moving pretty quickly to the east, and Enterprise to Dothan is about 30 miles. So makes sense. The leading edge of that would be in Dothan within an hour. So 12:30, 12:45 in that ballpark for the city, and we'll keep watching for two things: gusty winds within the line, and then some gust-NATO potential on the leading edge of that line. Also watching the cells southward into the Panhandle. Some decent rainfall. We'll switch over radar views here, go down to Eglin, give you a little different view of the showers and storms. So those cells are pretty robust. Here's the radar site, Eglin Air Force Base at Red Bay, and you see a lot of rain and a lot of red showing up there. Jacob City down towards Cottondale a little bit, but then over towards Chipley, Wausau, Vernon, point southward there on 79. It is really, really coming down at this point. So here's an animation over the past hour, and that line moving pretty good to the east, not as fast as it is northward, so it's surging a little bit more in southeast Alabama than it is in the Florida Panhandle. Those cells north of Panama City, not severe, but they're producing some heavy rainfall, and that's kind of an area that we would watch for maybe some rotation. If this were a setup where we had more wind energy in the atmosphere, then any of these cells could be rotating, and that's always the fear. You get these discrete cells out ahead of a main line, and they're able to tap into the wind shear and the energy in the atmosphere. The wind shear and the energy, it's there for sure, but it's not real robust, and that's why the concern of individual tornadoes or big hail producing storms occurring out ahead of that main line, somewhat on the lower side. That's not to say we can't see some spin-ups occur with these cells, but most of the action today will be straight line winds within this line and the chance for some brief spin-ups on the leading edge of that line. We'll go northward here, switch it back over to the Fort Novacell radar site, and we have a couple tornado warnings up north. Let's see if we can go up here. And we have a tornado warning there for Rockdale, DeKalb, Fayette, Henry, Coweta, and Clayton counties. That's all in Georgia, pretty far to the north of us. I'm going to kind of play around here and let's see if we want to add. Let's select Georgia KF. All right, let's add this one and kind of just zoom in and see what this looks like on radar here. So got a couple of cells up there, nothing that is overwhelming as far as base velocity. So one of those cells coming right on through Peachtree City right now. That's the severe thunderstorm warning. This is the tornado warning. That's the severe thunderstorm. So the tornado warnings here are in purple. So there's a new severe thunderstorm warning. So looks like that is passing pretty close to Peachtree City, really close to the radar side. I'm not seeing any distinct rotation. Let's go to 4 panels on this one. And yeah, okay. Let's go back to closer to home down here in southeast Alabama and kind of watch these cells here coming out through New Brockton to Enterprise. I'm going to go back over to the 1 panel. Let's go big view here. As we watch the showers and storms coming out through Coffee County, that area in Barber County moving pretty quickly now eastward, all the way through Clayton and Louisville and Clio. That will be in Eufaula probably in about 20 minutes or so. Roughly around 12:10, 12:15, that line comes on through Eufaula with a burst of winds, 30, 40 miles per hour. Southward, some decent rain now moving into Enterprise, especially on the west side of town. Ayrton, that rainfall moving into your area. Southward into western Geneva County, raining pretty good in Sampson, and then down into Walton County, some decent rainfall also. And there's that batch of showers and storms out ahead of that main line, so Chipley over towards 231 now in Jackson County, a pocket of red showing up there, some intense rainfall. We'll go back over to the 2 panel. We're monitoring for signs of 2 things, gusty winds and weak rotation. And there's just a little tiny pocket still showing up there just to the north of Enterprise towards New Brockton. I'm watching this area right here. Again, a little bit of a cell merger occurring in that area off to the east now of New Brockton. So there's just a little tiny hint of a little rotation. It's right here. It's just east of New Brockton. It's just north of Enterprise, but it would not indicate gust NATO looking at these radar scans. We'll go back just a few and kind of go forward. So 2 areas. So now there is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for that cell. So this little area here, and that's actually so they did put out a tornado warning for this cell. So again, these 2 little areas here, one is in Enterprise and the other one here just east of New Brockton. So that's Tallahassee putting out a tornado warning for that area. Hey, I mean, that's what we're tracking, right? I mean, that's the whole point of doing this, is kind of being ahead of the Weather Service and watching these areas. So one area here is just north of Enterprise. The other little pocket of rotation is now to the north a little bit farther and east of New Brockton. So 2 pockets here of a weak rotation. Again, this is a setup where it's not a classic big thunderstorm, long track tornado. These are usually very small gust NATO type storms that come on through, and they last sometimes for a couple miles, sometimes a little bit longer, but they're usually a very small spin in the sky. And we've got the ingredients there for a little pocket here north of Enterprise, and then farther north right up and through this area. So just kind of on the northeast side now of the circle in Enterprise. And again, it's not a lot. I mean, it's not a typical type of a setup, but you're looking at this little pocket here where you've got blue, going from southwest to northeast, and then pink here going from northeast to southwest. So there's that little pocket of rotation. This is what it looks like on the base velocity. That's what it looks like on the reflectivity. It's not much. There's no debris signature showing up, but it's just this little tiny S shape right there. You see that S, and it's right there where you have that potential for a little gustnado. And that's why that tornado warning was issued from the Tallahassee office. That will pass pretty close to Fort Novacell. So Fort Novacell right here, looks like the northern side, we'll see that little pocket of rotation move on through. If we go farther northward, the secondary spin isn't very impressive up here. So I'm watching this area, but it's not real impressive. The main area is here, just to the north now of Rucker Boulevard, as it moves out to Fort Novacell. So it's right here. I mean, just outside of the circle. You've got that, the Walgreens there where you turn off on Rucker Boulevard. So that's the area. It's going to pass on the north side of Fort Novacell. If this were to stay together, and it's been together for a little while, it will pass somewhere south of Ozark and north of Newton. All right, north of Newton, south of Ozark for this cell. I'm going to back this up just a few frames. Looks like we might have another cell merger happening. As I explained earlier, you get sometimes the cell merger and you have an enhancement of the spin, and that might have happened there as we look at Coffee County. That is about to move into Dale County. So this is a tornado warned cell as of 11:55, and News 4 has got coverage. I'm doing this on my own here because I am leaving for the airport, hopefully to catch my redone flight, my delayed flight in a little bit, but I got a little time to kill here, and just kind of watching this area. It's not real impressive. It's just not real impressive, but it is right here. All right, it's just north of Rucker Boulevard. It's going to pass on the north side of Fort Novacell. No debris signature showing up. This is just a little gustnado potential right here, northeast of Enterprise, moving on the north side of Fort Novacell. There's a look at Daleville. That may pass just north of Daleville, but it's just this little tiny pocket right here. Again, it's not much, but let's see if I can place a marker. So right where I put that red dot basically is according to the storm relative velocity and the base velocity where that spin is. Now this image is a little bit late. That came in at 11:51. This is at 11:54. So this is the most updated image, and that will put that somewhere up in here then. So that track is basically like this. So we'll track north of Daleville. It's on the north side of Fort Novacell as of 11:56. Gustnado potential, a tornado warned cell for some brief spinning winds on the leading edge of this line of storms. Again, this radar view here, top left, is a little bit delayed compared to this and this, your base velocity and your storm relative velocity. So this is what has prompted that tornado warning just north of Rucker Boulevard, passing on the north side of Fort Novacell. I would say if you are in this area, this general area, right in through here, and hopefully they're doing so at Fort Novacell. I mean, you want to be somewhere safe, away from exterior walls and windows. That is coming right on through Fort Novacell at this point. This scan is at 11:55:57. This one's still a little bit delayed, so we're watching these two scans. I'm going to get rid of that marker and place the marker. Let's place it right here. Move marker. Let's place that marker right here. So that's basically right there. That red dot is where that rotation is as of 11:56, 11:57. It is tracking now through the north side of Fort Novacell. It will track north of Daleville, and if we zoom in here, you got the airfields around there. You've got housing. You've got a little area up here with some structures. So this is that path right in through here. That's Daleville. All right, right here is Daleville. Fort Novacell, right in through this whole complex, right in through here, passing through Fort Novacell, and then passing there to the north of Daleville in the next 5-10 minutes, 5 minutes. I mean, it's right there. It's not real strong. All right, it's just this little pocket here. This is storm relative velocity. This is just a little pocket of some rotation showing up here between Enterprise and Daleville over Fort Novosel. Let's remove that marker. And I'm going to keep watching for the new scan to come in. This latest scan pretty much at 11:56, so it's a couple minutes old at this point. So if I can go back to, does that give me anything? No. I'll go back to storm relative velocity here. And let me go up here, and let's go base velocity, lowest scan. So it's right here. It's going to pass just north of Daleville. And it looks like we have a little bit of a cell merger trying to happen out ahead of it. So we'll watch this area down here also. Let me go back just a couple frames. I'm watching that area west of Clayhatchee, right in through here. There's just a little bit of an enhancement. But what we're looking at here that prompted the tornado warning is this, right along Rucker Boulevard here, leading to Fort Novosel. This scan 11:57:39, same thing here. So this is the little tiny hook. You see the S right there, that S shape, and right where this comes in is where that rotation is showing up. So basically the north side of Fort Novosel in that tornado warning, and the potential for a weak tornado, lower end. I mean, there's no such thing technically as a weak tornado because the wind's still at 50, 60, 70 miles per hour. That's still packing some wind, but this is not a huge EF2 type setup like we saw in Troy a couple weeks ago. This is a Gustnado type setup. But you can kind of see pretty easily here that hook, top left, that little pocket of rotation, and then on the storm relative, that pocket of rotation as well, right along Rucker Boulevard, passing on the north side of Fort Novosel. It will pass north of Daleville. We've been watching this here. I was tracking this for a while because, again, in this kind of a setup, you just get little tiny pockets of spin that don't last very long, but it was right here, one by New Brockton, one here to the west of Enterprise. That was at 11:40, and then that area just kind of came together, and it's still not real impressive, but sometimes that's all you get in a situation like this. All you get is a really weak little looking hook, inflow notch, downdraft, and then just a little bit of this. We've got outbound and inbound showing up on the storm relative. Now, if you look at the base velocity, it's all green, which means all these colors still indicate winds blowing towards the radar site. But if you look here, relative to the motion of the cell, there is some outbound wind. So that's why I rely heavily on that storm relative velocity product in a situation like this. So that is the tornado warning cell. It's this little notch showing up on the north side of Fort Novosel, passing to the north side of Daleville. We're at 12:01 now. This image is at 11:59, top right. So passing on the north side of Daleville. For more coverage, you can tune in to News 4. Again, I am not at work today. I'm about to fly out on a rescheduled flight, which is why I'm not at work covering this today. But Ryan and Zach are there, and they've got live coverage on News 4. So definitely flip on that stream and watch the coverage. I'm just kind of filling a little time here, and I don't have a whole lot of time left before I have to up and leave and get down to the airport and hope my flight does get out this afternoon. But I'm watching this, at least in the short term here, north of Fort Novosel, north of Daleville, a tornado warning cell here as of 2:02. Again, not a real distinct signature on radar of strong rotation, but in this situation, it's just a little weak couplet that we see. And you don't see it real well here, top right on base velocity, but you see it a little bit better right here on the storm relative velocity. So that's what we're watching here. Not seeing any indication of debris showing up. This is probably a very low to the sky hanging cloud moving on through. If you were out there looking at it from Daleville, you would just kind of see right in this area lowering of a cloud, and then just a bunch of steady rain on the backside. But it's that little tiny pocket of lowering that can produce that spinning column of air down to the ground. And if we had any damage, it would be right over Fort Novosel. That's kind of where it tracked, right over Fort Novosel, and now it's passing just to the north of Daleville. So that's the area. And again, it's not very big. These usually are not very big. I'm talking like maybe a city block wide, if that. I mean, they're just really tiny little spin-ups that occur on the leading edge of the line of showers and storms. But when it moves on through, if you get hit by that, you're going to have these winds in excess of 50 or 60 miles per hour over a very small area. And the concern is that this holds together a little bit longer and hits more people, and it becomes a little bit stronger. And there's that chance. There's always that chance for a little spin up to turn into something a little bit bigger. And I'm also watching that area south there of Daleville. It's not real strong, but there's a secondary area of a little spin showing up between Daleville and Clay-Hatchie. Not seeing any strong rotation down there. Not as strong as what we're looking at right here north of Daleville, but again, just a little bit of a hint down south there. But the tornado warning in effect for this cell, which is passing north of Daleville, moving on through Dale County. That will pass south of Ozark and pretty close to the north side, just north of Newton, in the next 15, 20 minutes, in that ballpark. This is that little tiny hook showing up here just to the north now of Daleville. A decent pocket of rotation in the atmosphere. Not super strong. All right, this is if this is a tornado or a gustnado, it's EF0 type strength. It's not super strong, but there's certainly a hint of rotation there on radar with that S feature that we're looking at, that S shape showing up there. This right here is a look at the base velocity, so some weak rotation, and then the storm relative velocity shows it up pretty well just to the north there of Daleville. So this is about to move into an area here, if you see right through here, of some structures right here as well, and right here as well on the north side of Daleville. Yeah, so that's still kind of impacting Fort Novacell at this point. They've got a whole setup out there. I'm sure they've got everyone warned, and everyone's kind of taking cover and doing what they should be doing. But it's probably you know what always happens is you should take shelter inside, and half the people go outside to say, where is it? Can I see it? You don't really want to do that, because if you get to that point where it's on top of you, then you've got no time to take shelter. So if you are in this tornado warning, the best thing to do is to find a safe place to go. Lowest level, interior-most part of the structure that you are in, as we track this line moving on through. I saw this pop up there. That is not a line. Maybe it does with the rotation area, but let's see, I'm looking for debris just in case this thing spins down and starts picking up some debris, because it's in an area that is, first of all, a lot of trees and then some structures. So anything, if this were to be a confirmed tornado, it would be picking up something. And it looks like a lot of this is pine through here, and pine, especially this time of year, because pine is growing, it's uptaking a lot of water from the ground. It becomes very crisp. I like to compare it to asparagus. You know, a good piece of asparagus, it just snaps real easily. It's full of moisture. Pine trees are kind of the same way this time of year, uptaking a lot of moisture. Doesn't take much to snap and pick that up. So there's a look at the newest scan coming in. That is now north of Daleville, moving on through Fort Novacell at this point, and that little pocket of rotation now is just to the north there of Daleville, between Daleville and Ozark at this point. There's the little knot showing up here. Now a very distinct S shape here. Doesn't align perfectly with rotation. The rotation area is basically right in here, but this is all kind of working together. So this might not be perfectly set up a gustnado at this point, but there's certainly some spin in the atmosphere. We'll just kind of back this up a few frames there and go back to when this came on through Enterprise. And I'm looking down here, all right, you see this? I'm going to take your eyes to this area, the north side of the circle that we were tracking there, and then right there, it became a little more distinct, and it's still holding together. So that's why we have this tornado warning in effect. And it's really a good warning, because this is not a setup that's going to give us a really well-defined signature on radar of a tornado. Again, this is not, I've been here since 2015 covering storms on the Wiregrass, and there are certain situations where you have very distinct inbound and outbound gate-to-gate shear, and it's a no doubt type tornado. We saw that with the Troy system a couple weeks ago. This is not that kind of a setup. These late March, April type setups, if it's a line of storms, we get, instead of really strong cells, we get little spin-ups on the leading edge of a line of storms. And that's what we're seeing here in Dale County, north of Daleville. And it will pass to the north of Newton and south of Ozark in this general area. So this is a tornado-warned cell moving east at 40 miles per hour. So it's moving pretty quickly. It will pass through the rest of Dale County before you know it. Let me go big view here and just kind of animate this, and you can kind of see that line of storms moving on eastward, really kind of bowing out there through Barber County. Some decent winds up there, probably 30, 40 miles per hour. But it's down south here where it becomes a little more loopy, and this is kind of taking on a line echo wave pattern. We call it in meteorology line echo wave pattern, where it kind of looks like waves on an ocean. It bows out in some areas, and it kind of retreats in other areas, and bows out. And where we have that that seesaw type effect is where you get sometimes rotation to develop. So down here to the bottom right, this is pretty easy to see right there, that spin that has developed, and it's right there. So this is looking a little more wrapped up. As we look southward, let's see, this is a severe thunderstorm warning, a big one there in red. So that's what Tallahassee typically does. They put out these crazy monster severe thunderstorm warnings, which really doesn't tell you anything because you're not really pinpointing the threat. But at least this is nice and concise. And now here we're seeing an enhancement. So the radar site is up here. We're seeing an enhancement of the green, and we're seeing what looks to be a little bit of a stronger spin developing here. So definitely a stronger spin developing with this tornado warned cell in Dale County. So you want to make sure you are in your safe place between Ozark and Newton. All right, got to make sure you're where you need to be, anywhere between Ozark and Newton, because this cell is moving off to the east, northeast, and it is strong for sure. And I'm just taking a picture of the radar view here. It's a strong pocket of rotation. It's gotten stronger. All right, in the last couple minutes, if I go back just a couple frames here and just notice here how that area of green top right has gotten a little more well defined, and it's pretty easy to see exactly where that pocket of rotation is. Moving basically to the east-northeast, all right? East-northeast. That puts it in a rural area here in Dale County between Ozark and Newton. That's the area that you want to be in your safe place right now. This is a smaller in size type of rotation area. It's not real big, but it's strong. For sure. Okay, I've got live coverage too. Zach is on News 4 with live coverage if you want to flip over there and watch him on the TV side of things. I'm doing this again as I wait for my flight out, my delayed flight out to the National Tropical Weather Conference. But what time is it now? 11 after 12. I've got a little more time here to track this. I hate leaving during a tornado warning, but first time we've had a daytime severe event in a long time. Seems like most of these events for us come in between midnight and 6 a.m., but this is during the day. This is a tornado warned cell there. It's in Dale County between Ozark and Newton. There's the big view. I'm going to backtrack here a little bit and just look for any confirmation of this tornado. And I'm not seeing it line up yet on radar, so that's good. Let's see, we've got a little difference here. So this top left radar scan, that's not coming in very quickly here. This one is just not, I don't know if we can get an earlier scan. So there's the newest scan, so there it is. So now this is at 12:09:46. This is 12:11. Okay, so now we got outbound. You see that? All right, so go back here just one frame. This is a strengthening tornado. Now we've got outbound. That one little pixel of red, that indicates that this is now a more well-defined spin in the atmosphere, because you've got on the base velocity, you've got some outbound now, of course a lot of inbound, but so this is that spin here just to the northwest of Newton. It's in association with this hook now that is showing up on radar. So see that corresponds with this right here. So this is your storm relative velocity. I'm not seeing any indication of debris yet, but this is probably awfully close to reaching the ground. If it wasn't there before, it very well could be at this point. So let's go long range here, animation, and just looking at that cell. Again, we're getting kind of some cell mergers, that moisture coming in from the Gulf, south winds. You got winds here coming in from the west, so you've got that little bit of a hook that's coming together, and it's this area right here that looks more and more potent. So let's go back to the current view, and as we look there, yeah, that's your rotation. I can't confirm it yet. I don't see the debris on radar, but there's certainly some pretty good spin in the atmosphere that will pass just north of Newton. It will pass to the south of Ozark. So there's Ozark. This is the area that we're watching right here, northwest of Newton, south of Ozark. This will cross 231 in the next probably 10 minutes. So by, say, 12:22-ish, it'll be crossing 12:24-ish. It'll be crossing 231. If you are in that area of Dale County, you definitely want to be in your safe place as we track this tornado warning cell, and a cell that is looking more impressive now than it has in a little while. This area just to the northwest of Newton. Let's zoom in here and just make sure we're looking for here, bottom left, the correlation coefficient, looking for any signs of debris. Bottom right, storm relative velocity. Top right is base velocity, and then of course your reflectivity here. The newest scan is right here, and there's a new scan coming in on velocity. So there is a pocket of rotation here showing up just north now and northwest of Newton in Dale County, a tornado warning cell. Also watching here, you see this? This is not in that warning, but this is another pocket of rotation that is not too far away from Pinkard at this point, just northwest of Pinkard. So we have actually got two areas of spin in the atmosphere. One there is northwest of Newton, and the other one is to the south of Newton. Both of those are packing a punch with very, very strong winds moving on through. So that tornado warned cell, looks like that, let's see, that warning is still there. Kind of went away from this view for some reason. The radar is not plotting that warning anymore, but it's right here, this area of rotation, and now this area of rotation that we're watching as well. That area to the west of Pinkard looks a little more robust as compared to where it has been. So there's that tornado warning kind of I guess they reissued it is what happened there, but it's right there. It's northwest Newton, and then a secondary area here off to the west of Pinkard, which is not in that tornado warning. All right, so you had one area here, this second area right here. I'm thinking that this area is probably going to get a tornado warning as well. It should. It definitely should. That is right by Pinkard at this point. So one area of rotation here, second area right here. All right, so there's one, storm relative velocity. There's the secondary area between Newton and Pinkard. All right, two areas that we're watching here. Both of these are on the leading edge of this line of showers and storms. Some good news here, this new scan came in, the outbound red dot has gone away. That tells me the rotation area here is a little bit weaker than it was right there. So you had outbound showing up on the base velocity, that is now gone. You do have a decent spin here. This is going to move into that current tornado warning. That will pass just northwest of Midland City, just north of Pinkard, just north of Midland City as we go through the next about 8 minutes or so. We're at 12:17 at this point. So two areas of rotation. This is a very typical gust-nado type setup as we track this line of showers and storms into the Wiregrass and through the Wiregrass. So a gust-nado is basically a little spinning column of air on the leading edge of the main line of storms. Southward in the Panhandle, that monster red box is a severe thunderstorm warning. That's in effect. I do not like big severe thunderstorm warnings like that. I think they last too long, and I don't think they're really defining the actual threat. It's just kind of just like, yeah, here's a warning. There's some storms coming in. I'm not seeing anything real strong down there in the Panhandle. Definitely if we look northward here, looks a little bit worse. I'm going to switch over down here real quick to the other radar site at Eglin, just to kind of pinpoint where some of these stronger winds are occurring. in the panhandle, and probably a little Boeing segment right in through here. A little gustier winds south of the Phoenix Springs, but doesn't look to be real damaging winds, so that's good. Let's go back up here to Fort Novosel site, and we'll zoom back in here, and this is the area that we continue to monitor. I'm watching this area now north and northwest of Pinker, so northwest here, and then up here areas northeast of Newton. Now there has been some weakening, all right? That little pocket is still evident there and still evident here, but if I go back just a couple scans, right there is where it maximized in intensity at 12:11 and 32 seconds. This pocket down here, if I go forward in time, there's still a pocket of rotation here, but it's smaller, and there's still a pocket here just north of Pinker. This one's moving east at what, 35 miles per hour? And then this little pocket here as well, just northeast of Newton. So no Doppler radar confirmation of a tornado. I'm looking at that down here, the base velocity, storm relative velocity, and correlation coefficient, trying to see if it all aligns and produces a damage signature. Not seeing any confirmation of that. This actually is the stronger rotation area now, the one that was not warned. This is the one that was warned right here. It's not much, all right? It's not much. Northeast of Newton, and then this area north of Pinkard. This is the one that was warned. This one was not, but the one by Pinkard looks to be the strongest one at this point. This will pass just north of Midland City, and the other one will pass south of, look at that, south of Ozark. So that's good news. So in that last scan, if you caught that, we had a spin, blue and that pink color, and now that spin is gone, all right? So that is no longer capable of producing a tornado, especially how close we are to the radar site. The strongest spin now is this one that is west of Midland City and north of Pinkard. And we're watching that line come into the western side of Dothan as well. No threat in Dothan. We've got some cells out ahead of that main line, but the area that we've been kind of watching is up here in Dale County. And again, I'm watching this, I'm watching this, I'm watching this. This is that little area of lingering rotation between Midland City and Pinkard. It will cross over 231, probably happening right now, just northwest of, Carroll's nursery there is on 231. Just north of Carroll's, and it'll pass north of Midland City. So that other area of rotation that prompted the tornado warning, which goes until 12:45, that area of rotation has gone now. This is the new one, all right? Just crossing 231, some green showing up here, very strong inbound, pretty strong outbound. We're getting brightening here. So this is now the new storm that is capable of producing a tornado, passing just northwest of Midland City. The initial tornado warning cell is gone, all right? But this one is the new one that is now moving off to the northeast. The one that was south there of Newton, west of Pinkard, and that's the one that should be warning on right now. This is the one that had prompted the warning when it was northwest of Newton. This is the new one that has formed. And now it's right here, all right? It's just northwest of Midland City, just north of 231, northeast now of 231. So passing just to the north there of Midland City. This is a cell capable of producing a tornado. Not seeing any confirmation yet on the debris tracker, but we've got this funky looking radar view, and we've got that, see this like S shape again showing up. That indicates that pocket of rotation. So one area there around Newton has gone away in large part. Looks like the outflow kind of took it over, but we've got a new area here that is packing a punch, and it's probably, see, this is 12/19/55, so all these align. It's this area right here. Looks like it's embedded in rain. So there's Napier Field, the airport. Looks like that is embedded in rain, that pocket of rotation there, just crossing 231, passing to the north side of Midland City. I'm watching this right here, all right? This is a cell that is capable of producing a tornado. Pretty good. Now, outbound wind showing up. This is the new cell. The old one has fallen apart. This area of rotation developed on the south side. It was a separate area of rotation. That has now become the most dominant area of rotation showing up there north of Midland City. It is passing off to the north of Midland City, moving to the northeast. I'm going to back this up a few frames and take you forward here. And there's a pocket of rotation right there, all right? Just north of Midland City, moving through Dale County. And there's a little bit of a reflection right here of what is that hook. And it is passing now just to the north of the airport. So there's the airport just off the runway, off the northwest side of the runway. I'd be interested to know if that tower is actually reporting a tornado or a funnel or something, because I mean, I'm sure if you're at the airport, you're seeing it's not much. You see it's just one pixel in red. That's outbound, green here, inbound. And we're very close to the radar site. So there's the little tiny pocket of rotation. It's right here. This is the runway, northwest to southeast. That's the pocket of rotation showing up there on the northwest side of the airport, Dothan Regional Airport here, which is Napier Field, Midland City, Alabama here. At 12:24 on this Monday, the 31st day of March, watching some showers and storms. I got to get out of here pretty quick. I got to get down to the airport. I'm going to be driving through this mess. Hoping my flight does get out on time. Again, my weather, I was supposed to be up in the, supposed to be on a plane right now at Panama City, and my flight got delayed. So on the way down, I wasn't too far from home. I decided just to turn back real quick and watch this before I headed down to the airport. But now I'm kind of engrossed in these storms. Watching this here north of Midland City, this is that pocket of rotation. This is not the storm that prompted that tornado warning, which goes until 12:45. This is actually a secondary area of rotation that developed there. There's a new radar scan coming in, 12:23 on that one, 12:22 on these scans here for the velocity. And we'll just wait and see what the new scan looks like there. But there's definitely a pretty strong pocket of rotation. And this could be, if I go back here just a scan, we'll see this right here corresponds with that rotation area. So this could be some debris. It's a possibility. We'll see what the next scan looks like as it comes in here. But that could be a little bit of a debris signature showing up there on the correlation coefficient. It does align with that pocket of rotation north of Midland City in Dale County, Alabama, southeast Alabama here. If you're watching me on YouTube, this is my inaugural live stream of severe weather. Only doing this because I was supposed to be at the airport getting on a plane now, and my flight was delayed, and wasn't able to get to the station to do this. We got Ryan and Zach at the station covering this from the News 4 side, so I'm just kind of killing some time here before I drive down to the airport and deal with this. What's going to be a very, very long day for me. It's already been a long day, and it's only 12:30. But we're watching, all of us here, watching this storm move on through. That could be, looking at it, this could be a little signature of debris, because that little pocket, I'm looking at this right here, all right, that aligns with that rotation area. So boy, I'm very close to saying this is a Doppler confirmed tornado in Dale County. It sure looks like it. This is not a real distinct hole, but it aligns, the fact that it aligns perfectly with this rotation and this rotation, base velocity, storm relative velocity, tells me that this is probably a tornado, a tornadic cell moving on through. This is arriving at my house now. Some thunder outside, likely some, some really gusty winds here on the west side of Dothan. I'm watching these pine trees blowing pretty good right now. I don't have my live camera set up outside, otherwise I'd punch over to that and show you what's happening out there. But definitely gusty winds coming on through, and I'm just looking at these tall pine trees out there. These are probably 35, 40 mile per hour wind gusts coming on through. the city of Dothan, the west side of Dothan at this point. So lots to watch here as we look at the radar view here. I'm going to punch back over to this radar view here, and this is what we're tracking: the showers and storms moving on through the Wiregrass. I'm going to punch back over to, I got a multitude of computers here running in the background, trying to make sure everything is working properly, trying to keep my eyes on the outside as well. So there's that tornado warning cell here. This is not the initial cell that was warned. This is a different area of rotation that has developed and has become the dominant storm in Dale County, about to move into Henry County. It's this hook shape that we're seeing right here that corresponds with this area of rotation and this area right here. Base velocity, storm relative velocity. Down here is the correlation coefficient, bottom left. I was watching this little dot right here of green, and that was indicative of a little bit of debris in the air. That area of green is right here now. It does not perfectly now line with the radar view of that rotation, but it did here. So I think what we had was a brief spin up, a little gustnado that occurred just north of Napier Field, just north of the airport, the Dothan Airport, which is just north there of Midland City, more or less. So that was a couple minutes ago at 12:25. We're at 12:29 right now, and there's that cell moving on through Henry County. You see the S shape right here? Again, you'll see me preach that on TV and here all the time as well. If we see a shape of an S, that indicates that the rotation is getting stronger in the atmosphere. And this is the rotation right here, this signature. Blue here, inbound towards radar site, storm relative here. These are outbound. So there's the rotation. This is pure velocity, pure wind flow in the atmosphere. Green towards the radar site, red away from the radar site. There's the pocket of rotation in the atmosphere, and that's the S. You see that right there, that S shape? That's what we're looking at here. Eastern part of Dale County, about to move into the western part of Henry County. That will pass west and northwest of Headland in the next 15 minutes, moving through pretty quickly down into the Dothan area. So I'll back this up where I am on the west side, had that gust of wind come on through, and it's certainly pretty windy. Those winds now about moving into the circle, about reaching, well, it is here, the northwest side of the circle there, up by the mall, southward here towards 84 and Ross Clark Circle. That's the leading edge right here, the leading edge of that wind shift line. And I tell you what, when that comes on through, you're going to see those winds gust to probably 30, 40 miles per hour. I was watching what was happening outside these tall trees I have around me, and that was probably a 30, 40 mile per hour wind gust. There is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Again, a big monster. I mean, I wish Tallahassee would do a better job of defining the actual threat instead of like, hey, everyone's under a warning. Where are the actual strong winds? Well, those two big red boxes are just monster severe thunderstorm warnings. But we're focused here. I'm looking for the rotation within the line or on the leading edge of the line, and this is that pocket of rotation that is now going to, let's see, just northwest of Napier Field, or just northeast of Napier Field, just west of Headland. I'll go back here a couple frames, and there's the area of rotation. Still very well defined on the storm relative velocity. I'm not seeing an indication now of any debris with that spin. We had it there, looked like briefly, and that has gone away. So this might have briefly put down a tornado right in this area, right when it was just north of Midland City, just northeast of Midland City, and then northwest of Napier Field, the airport. That was at 12:23 when we had this little debris signature showing up. Let's go back to current time, and there's that cell. Now there's a little attenuation happening in the radar. Attenuation is a fancy word for saying the radar beam is being sucked up by the heavy rainfall. It's absorbing some of that energy. So it looks like the returns are a little bit lighter, that the rain has gotten lighter. That's not the case. It's just the fact that the radar beam here in Echo is shooting through a lot of heavy rainfall, and that heavy rainfall is absorbing some of that electromagnetic energy from the radar site. But there's a pocket of rotation. It is west of Headland. Storm relative down here, bottom right, base velocity right here, looking for signs of debris, which would be right here, and not seeing it. So no Doppler radar confirmed tornado, just a Doppler radar confirmed area of rotation. Now into Henry County, all right? This green line is the delineation between Dale County here and Henry County right here. So that rotation area is now west of Headland, and moving on to the east-northeast. This pocket of rotation will pass to the north of Headland and probably to the south of Newville. All right, so if you have anyone in this area, make sure they know what is happening out there. Again, we've got live coverage on News 4. I'm just filling some time as I do my first YouTube live stream here, just waiting for my trip down to the airport that has been delayed because of these storms. And I'm thankfully going to miss, I guess, the worst of it when I leave here, but I'll be driving in it for sure. But hey, we're watching that area of rotation now. It has weakened a little bit, and that's some great news. Just west of Headland, right in through here. And really, see that green pocket here? This was your spin, 1228, 1230, and now 1232. That has gone away. So now this is all just outflow driven, and that pocket of rotation has gone away. So this is no longer capable of producing a tornado. But this little pocket of red right here, these are winds that could be in excess of 40 or 50 miles per hour. And if I go back just a couple frames, that's the outflow. So what happened is the outflow from this cell ended up choking off the inflow. And watch that green blob. I'm looking right up here. I wish I were at I don't have my weather wall set up. I don't have the lights on, I don't have the lights on. I could probably do it though. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna turn my lights on. Okay. All right, let's key this. I don't have a camera. I don't have my camera set up. All right, never mind. I'll say give it a shot, but what I'm looking at is here, top right. I'll go back here a couple frames. Rotation, all right. Smaller rotation, gone. Because the outflow, this pocket of outflow, that rear flank downdraft, choked off the inflow. Doesn't mean it's dead for good. It could come back at some point, but this is some heavy rainfall moving into Headland. And then this right here, that area of some brighter reds, those are winds in excess of probably 40 or 50 miles per hour. I'm checking my, getting an alert here from my American Airlines flight, trying to figure out when I'm going to be, okay. All right, tornado warning. This is for, let's see, down here to the south here, for that little pocket that came on through the city of Dothan. All right, so let's go back here. Wow, look at that. So right there, right on the southern part inside the circle, and there it is now just to the east, right by Southeast Medical Center. I'd be flipping on WTVY News 4 is covering this. Again, I am not at the station covering this, but they are covering it, and got all the resources there with Zach and Ryan and the ability to watch this live. Let's see here. All right, so that's a pocket of rotation on the east side now of Dothan that has prompted that new tornado warning, and that is pretty close to Southeast Medical Center. It is on the east side of the circle, and that one is moving to the east-northeast. Again, a little spin up on the leading edge of this line of storms. These are usually little gustnadoes that don't last real long, but when they come in, they can pack a real punch and produce some very strong winds over a very small area. I'm looking here to see if there's any of a debris signature showing up, and it's too early to tell if this here is actually debris. It does align with that spin, which is right here on the east side of the city of Dothan. So that area to the north there in Headland has weakened, but this area has come together here. Go back here just a few frames, and I'll go forward a little bit, and there's that pocket that has produced that tornado warning now, just the east of the circle, just east of the city of Dothan, just east of Ross Clark Circle, just north of 84. This is pretty much along 52 there, heading off to the northeast of Dothan, right along 52. This area right here a Doppler radar indicated tornado, more or less a gustnado, and probably wrapped in rain as well. Again, that I watched these winds come on through my area, and they were strong there for a little period. And it looks like that little spin up occurred as those winds came right on through the city of Dothan. So there's a look. Let's see, watched. So there wasn't much of anything there. It began maybe a little bit right here on the southwest side of the circle. There's where 52 breaks off there. That's by that Lowe's. And then we'll go forward here, and that's when that tornado warning was issued at 12:32, when it was just southwest of downtown, and it crossed right on through part of the city, east of town, and now right along 52 off to the northeast of the city of Dothan. So a tornado warned cell there. Northward, that other cell in Henry County has really kind of weakened. So that one is not very strong right now. That was a pretty good spin. That spin has gone away, and now we just have that other spin that has developed in Houston County as it moves off to the east. So there's the latest scan here. Again, this was looking impressive for a period, and then all of a sudden it weakens, and that's kind of the setup today, where you get pockets of rotation, you get little spins on the leading edge of this line of storms, and then it's gone. So heads up for you in Webb, all right? So this pocket of rotation is right here as we look at Houston County, the northern part of Houston County. The pink there is a tornado warning in effect at this point, a tornado warning in effect for Houston County as we track this line of showers and storms moving on through. So Zach is on the air as well, and he's got a lot more reach than I have on my YouTube page. As he's tracking this, and Ryan's there as well, watching this line of showers and storms come on through the Wiregrass and that tornado warned cell. But that has really, kind of spun up and weakened a little bit, and that is some good news. Still some indication here, though, of decent rotation between Dothan and Webb, right along 52, all right? It's right here, this area of spin. No Doppler radar confirmation of this. All these radar images here, this one, these three align, and we're not seeing the debris signature meet up with that rotation area. So that's good. Now that rotation area is not very distinct, not seeing any indication here on the correlation coefficient of any debris in the atmosphere. And I can't confirm that there was any debris with this, but there was certainly a little area right there where it tightened up briefly right over the circle, inside the circle, and then it kind of went away. So basically from the lows where 52 meets the circle, and then came back out where 52 meets the circle on the east side of town. Now that rotation area has weakened, but that area in red, very strong winds. Again, those winds 40 miles per hour plus, and they came right on through the city of Dothan. So probably some tree damage anyway in the city of Dothan, but maybe not any significant structural damage with that cell. We'll go back here and just animate this as we've been tracking these showers and storms here moving on through the Wiregrass. This is it, all right? So if you're in the city of Dothan now, that threat is gone. The line came on through, and that's the worst of it. Southward, let's see, decent rainfall there west of Panama City, so hopefully my flight will get out in time. Scheduled for 3:40. I'm going to have to get out of here pretty quick. Gives me a couple hours to get down there and hopefully be just behind this rain. So I'm going to keep watching this little cell, though. So that one tornado warning has been allowed to expire to the north, or I guess it was canceled a little bit early there for Henry County. That other area that prompted that tornado warning in Houston County, in the city of Dothan, that has weakened as well. So just a little spin up, did not last very long at all, and it's just moving so fast. These are moving at 40 miles an hour that every single scan, so again, right here, this is the area. Watch from right here to right here. This is where that little spin up occurred, right there, right through the circle, and then as it went to the area south there of Webb, it pretty much went away. There wasn't much on the reflectivity here. It was just a little bit of a hint right there of rotation. The circle in 52 came out at the circle in 52, and weaken. So we'll see if there's any actual confirmed damage anywhere inside the circle. Could have been, but it didn't last for very long. The one day I'm not at work is the one day that there's a little potential spin up in the circle. Hey, we've seen this before, I guess. I've been on the air. We actually had one with the B1053 radio cam that we were tracking. I think that was the day of August 31st of 2021 in the wake of Ida. But yeah, sometimes the circle, inside the circle, does get hit by these little spin-ups. And that, if you were with me a long time ago, I was kind of telling you about that spin-up that I had to go by my house a few years ago. Very similar type setup, just real simple spin. And we had, I think that same day, right in the same area, we had an EF0 confirmed from a gustnado. We may see that same type of setup today. These are all like low-end EF0 type storms coming on through tornado potential in the Wiregrass. So still a little hint here of rotation south of Webb, north of Ashford in Houston County. It's right here. Excuse me. The leading edge of that line of showers and storms from now, let's see, the northern part of Henry County between Abbeville and Fort Gaines, southward to areas east now of Newville and Headland, west of Haleburg, and then into Houston County, and then southward into the Panhandle. Another area here, this could very well be another forming tornado between Jacob City and Cottondale. I think this might be the next one that gets tornado warned if this little pocket of rotation holds up. It's not much. It's right here, this little tiny hook. You see that? Right there, that's all it is. This is just a different type of setup today where we're not seeing any real strong rotation, but little tiny pockets that would indicate gustnado potential. And gustnados are basically little spin-ups that occur on the leading edge of the showers and storms. So one there to the south and southeast of Webb, just north of Ashford. It's this area, base velocity up here, storm relative velocity down there, watching that very, very closely, and then watching this area down here in Jackson County, south of Jacob City. This little pocket right there, not looking as impressive with that new scan coming in, but there's still a little bit of a hook feature showing up there. So two areas still worth watching, but that's it, all right? So once that line moves on through your area, you're gonna be done for the storms. It's Henry County now in the middle of it. It's Houston County in the middle of it. That big red box that you see popping up, those are severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. It gives you that chance for those winds to gust over 50, 60 miles per hour. Came out through my area. I mean, the worst of it was 5 minutes as far as the winds. Probably 2-3 minutes for the worst winds, but then some heavy rainfall for about 15 minutes, and then that's it. The winds outside are calm on the west side of Dothan for me at this point, but we do still have that tornado warning cell here for Houston County. We'll go back up to the current time, and it's that area between Webb and Ashford right here in rural Houston County. This is still a tornado warned cell. It looks like there might be a little contamination with that cell moving in from the south. You see that one that was by Ashford that came in? I think that might have disrupted the circulation on that cell that came out through Dothan. So there was in Dothan at 12:32, and looks like it was wrapped in rain, and there's a little cell out ahead of it now. So nothing that's real well defined. Actually, the pocket of rotation is right here, which corresponds to nothing on the radar. So let's see, these times are right on the money, 44:06. So we'll watch that little cell. That's going to move up and bring some rain to Columbia. Ashford, some blowing out of the winds here, and that's probably the biggest thing you're going to see in Henry County and then into Houston County are very gusty winds in excess of 40 miles per hour as that line moves on through. Maybe a little hint here of some weak rotation west of Haleburg. Again, a little hint here, down here. I mean, there's not much, but this is still a tornado warning cell, but it's not, that's not strong enough to indicate tornado, but there is a little bit of a rotation area there between 52 and 84. That is kind of in the triangle area between Webb, Ashford, and Columbia. So right in through this area as it moves off to the northeast. elsewhere, looking okay for the rest of the Wiregrass southwest. Some heavy rainfall, some gusty winds, but I'm not seeing any significant rotation potential as we watch the rest of these storms. So wind gust of 41 miles per hour at Napier Field. We had 47 here at Cairns, that's Fort Novacell, and then a mesonet there, 54 miles per hour in Slocum, 3 southwest of Slocum. So some gusty winds, certainly 40 plus miles per hour, the leading edge of that line as it comes on through. Okay, so that is going to be it for me as I cover these showers and storms, just because I've got to get to the airport and missed my flight earlier. I didn't miss the flight. The flight was delayed, canceled, and then I was rescheduled as this line of showers and storms comes on through. Impacts a lot of people across the southeast today. Again, for those of you watching, thanks. My initial YouTube live stream for live coverage, WTVY News 4, Ryan and Zach are there at the station covering this setup. I'm kind of doing this from home before I head back out to the airport, so tune them in. You can find them on Facebook, on YouTube as well, and over the air and through the apps also. So that's it for me for now. I will have some pretty cool content coming up. Some of it will be posted here to YouTube from the National Tropical Weather Conference in South Padre Island whenever I get there tonight or tomorrow morning early. It's a big week for talking tropics, as hurricane season is not too far away. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you soon right here on YouTube. Take care.